We'll get started with the April 10th meeting of the County Commissioners. First item on the agenda, I don't know if there's any other items to be added. So we will try to follow the agenda as close as possible. First item would be public input from anybody.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Ruckingbrod of Oath Keepers. I'm really upset with you guys.
You are?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
You guys take an oath, don't you? Public service?
Yeah.
Take an oath?
Yeah.
Well, how come you're not oath keepers? How come you're not running around with a hat like this and showing it off?
No, I never offered one.
Huh? Well, I'll give you a card. You want some cards?
Sure, we'll take them.
Yeah, well. And, you know what? We're having a rally. Not oath keepers. We'll be there, though. Over at the State House, Saturday. It's called Honor Your Oath Rally. Do you think you guys could make it? I'd really like to have you make it, please. I said the magic word, too, you know. It's from 1 to 3. You want to find out what it is to be a real American, you got to show up.
Okay.
You can do that?
I won't be able to do that.
What do you mean?
I won't be able to do that.
Why not?
Because I'm going down, if it's any of your business, I'm going down to celebrate the day with my son and his daughter's birthday.
I'm going to see my son.
That's American, I like that. You're excused, no problem.
Okay. All right, what else you got?
You got one already? You have one? Everybody's doing their job today. Steve? Well, all right.
You all done?
Is that enough for today?
Okay. Anybody else? Damon.
All right, so I was just wondering if there's any update on the Janice Sullivan situation. I understand she resigned and
She resigned.
there's going to be an investigation. What's the what's the nature? Can you say what the investigation involves or anything like that?
No, it's beyond investigation. I thought she was going to ask about Friday.
Oh, that too. What happened Friday?
Oh, you were going to ask about Friday.
I was particularly interested. Usually we hear from Commissioner Sorensen because you have the history with the DEAS funding and such,
Yeah.
but I was curious to find out what the other two commissioners learned on Friday at the Association of Counties meeting, and if there's anything new that we can do or that you can do to...
Well, I think the majority of commissioners are upset, especially with the state going to be sending us a bill for the 15th, 2015. It's up like another $300,000. I don't know what I did with it, but anyway. And so what, basically, I learned that ultimately the county is responsible for all of the adult services. The Board of Commissioners did vote to look into whether and get an opinion as to whether we should file a suit against the state or not. So we'll be waiting to hear from that, and that should be done probably before the 1st of May. But ultimately, we are the ones that would have to pay for our own residents. Every county has to do that. I guess that's the bottom line. I don't know if either one of the commissioners would like to add to it, but they're really upset with the rate that we're going to get in the year 2015.
Was it a well-attended meeting? Was
Oh,
the
yeah.
state, were there a lot of commissioners there?
I believe at least 18, if not 20, out of the group of 30 commissioners. Yeah. There were others in attendance as well, but
Right.
The way the state association is organized is that the Council of Commissioners are the ones that approve any financial transactions that goes on. And this was led by George McGlaris, who is the president of that group.
And who is he? Where is he from?
George is from Stratford County.
He's a Stratford. Is he the one that's been there about 30 years or so? Or
He's been there
a
quite a
long
while.
time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I think the other thing that we learned is that there was a motion, an amendment to the motion to reduce that year 2015 made by Representative Kirk and Representative Chandler. It was voted down. Apparently, from what I've heard, a lot of pressure was put on the Democrats to not support that, especially from Stratford County. Stratford County happens to be a Democratic county, and they all voted in unison not to support it. So basically, we're going to have an increase in the year 2015.
Okay.
Anybody else got any comments?
No.
No?
Were all three of you there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, I have some comments.
Go ahead.
First of all, the increase from fiscal 13 to 15 is $253,000. Second of all, I inquired about how we find out what we're paying for, since we are writing a quarterly check for about $1.1 million. And I was told that the individual county booklet is about that thick and you'll never get through it because of all the various codings. But I think we ought to make one attempt at getting this, and at least going through quickly and finding out if and who we're paying for. I wouldn't recommend we do it every quarter, but we at least ought to do it once a quarter. And I would like to make a motion that we have Kathleen Garry call up, I guess it's Health and Human Services, and request at least one copy of this past quarter's who we're paying for.
Every resident that we're paying for.
The whole book, so we can go through it and find out who they are, if they're still alive, or whatever happens.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in support of the motion say aye. Any further discussion on the motion?
No.
If not, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye, then so voted.
I will also say, it appeared to me, being down there for just the third time, that all the counties are beginning to get a little bit uptight about the amount of money that's being raised by the state to fund the Bureau.
Okay.
I wouldn't say a little
Anything
bit
else?
uptight, or getting very uptight, because the
Yeah.
pass down is going to be, I forget whether it's 1 million or 7 million to the counties, or downshifted to the counties, and that should be prevented.
Do you have any comment
No.
regarding the meeting? No?
If I could just,
Okay, go ahead.
I just have a note here that the, on that Kirk and Chandler amendment that you mentioned, that the amendment eliminates the $7 million in downshifting to the counties. It was a pretty close vote, actually. It failed 195 to 171. So,
Yeah.
and that's pretty close out of 400, right?
Yeah. Is that it?
Well, another note that was mentioned at that meeting was that I believe it was during the Sununu governorship, the governor's office requested that a change in the funding between 50% for the state, from the state, 50% from the county, was changed to 62%, 38%, a one-time biennium change. Well, at the completion of that biennium, it never changed back, so that the state is only paying 38% rather than 50, and we're paying 62 rather than 50.
Yep.
That's what was stated. I think I have it right, don't I?
Yep. Yep. Okay, any further on that subject? On that subject, go ahead.
Yeah, do you think doing our own audit of this huge pile of data is gonna be expensive, or just sort of?
Our own audit, or we're going to...
We're doing some kind of audit, a double check of who we're paying for.
Yeah.
Do you think that's gonna be quite a burden? And I'm wondering if...
There shouldn't be any cost to it. All we're going to do is ask for the people that we're paying for.
Right, isn't it a file this thick? That's what we asked for.
That's what we were told.
Why shouldn't we ask for it? We're putting in a lot of
Well,
millions
I
of
haven't even
dollars.
finished my question yet.
Go ahead.
Well, my question is, the Association of Counties is upset about this.
Yeah.
Is there any sense that maybe the association can force the state to give an audit of all the counties, and so we don't have to do it individually?
Well, can I
Go
answer?
ahead.
Well, the point is, Damon, for us to find out who we're paying for. If we do it statewide, they're not gonna go down individual by individual and say, this person's dead, this person didn't live in Carroll County, this person. It's better that we do our own work. I don't see any cost attached to it. I see quite a bit of time and investigation, but for $1.1 million, I'm willing to put in a
Well,
little
poor
bit of time.
Kathy's gonna have to sift through this, and I know she's busy enough already, or she seems to be pretty busy.
I just said, for $1.1 million, I don't mind putting in the time myself to find out where it is. I don't know what'll happen, I don't know whether I can do it, but I'm willing to give it a try.
Okay. Change the subject, Mr. Brown?
Has the open position in the administration office been posted yet?
The open position in the minute, which one are you talking about?
The position that was recently open?
The Janice Sullivan, you mean?
No.
The HR person?
No.
No.
The individual who happened to unfortunately land up in the newspaper?
Yeah, I see, okay.
Receptionist job.
Yep.
It was, right. Has that been posted
It
yet?
was posted internally, and we found somebody internally.
So that wasn't posted to everyone in the county?
No.
Is that individual happen to be related to anyone else in the administration office?
I'm sure she is.
You sure she is?
Yes.
So it's business as usual in the county?
No.
As far as the HR
We had two applicants for that job. We interviewed both of them, and we selected the one that's presently working there.
But if you said you posted internally, that is what we did, and we had two. The one we hired is not internally.
She was working for us already.
How do you mean she was working for us?
We were paying her as a part-time interim.
And who made that decision? Who hired her?
Who? We did.
No, you said she was working before we hired her.
Right.
So who
Right.
hired her before?
Kathy
then?
Garry did.
She hired her.
Yep.
And paid her.
Right.
I don't think that makes sense. That is an intern. So she was actually helping out first, and
Go
then
ahead,
we hired
Mr.
her.
Babson.
Commissioner Kenney, why didn't you raise these objections back when we were going through the process?
I raised some.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I raised some. I asked. But internally, I don't think this is that we can hire an attorney. I think that we have to put it outside, and then I don't think that she can file for the application for an attorney. But I think if we had posted it out, that she can apply, because she said she is hired by Kathy Garry, so she was like trying it out.
Right.
A helper, and then she did it.
Actually, we had 3 applicants and 1 backed out, and we interviewed 2. Okay, Melissa?
Typically, it's a non-public thing, but since it's here, did you all vote to hire the person that currently has the job? Was it unanimous?
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Yep. Representative?
For the record, Glenn Cordelli, I'm here as a resident today of Tuftonboro and Carroll County. And just really to follow up on a previous question, I understood understand that the HR director has resigned and
Right.
that you are looking for a new HR director. So I found the job posting for the new position, and I was curious. I went online and looked at other companies that were also looking for an HR director. And just mention a few qualifications that they're looking for. These are in New Hampshire. Master's degree or equivalent and 10 years minimum related experience. Bachelor's degree and 10 years experience managing human resource systems. Bachelor's degree, minimum 5 years experience in HR, 2 years in a leadership position. For an HR assistant, an associate's degree in business or related field, and 2 to 5 years experience in HR. This is a construction company in New Hampshire, about 100 employees. They're looking for an HR manager, and they require someone who has a bachelor's degree and 2 to 5 years experience. This is a foods company over in Portland, and this is an HR generalist position. They're looking for someone with an associate's degree or HR certificate and 3 to 5 years experience, related experience. This is a part-time position in the Liquor Commission in the HR department. Part-time, 29 hours a week. A high school diploma and 2 years experience, preferably associated with personnel or payroll. 2 years experience. I have HR Director position posting from Calumet County in Wisconsin, and they're just about exactly the same size as Carroll County, right around 48,000 people. And their requirement is a bachelor's degree in human resources, personnel, or related field. A master's degree is preferred. 5 years or more experience in human resources and 3 years in supervisory position. Take a look at our job posting. The requirements are a bachelor's degree and or equivalent work experience in the HR field preferred. My reading of this requirement for our director's position, they might not even qualify for a part-time position in the Liquor Commission, but we're going to make them an HR director. If you look at the Calumet County job posting, examples of the duty: supervises and participates in recruitment, interviewing, selection, and orientation of new employees. It goes on for 34 items detailing their job duties, examples of job duties. Our job duties statement is, this position is responsible for but not limited to all activities dealing with the HR department. That's the extent of our specification as to their responsibilities.
Could I ask you 2 questions?
Sure.
One, is there a range of salaries along with those?
The Calumet County one is it's a full-time position, but they listed either biweekly or hourly. Biweekly, it's $3,100 to $4,100 biweekly. They don't have an annual salary.
Do you know what we pay for ours?
I have no idea.
$50,000.
Okay.
That is the start salary.
It doesn't compare with some of those that you mentioned, I'm sure. With those kinds of degrees and qualifications, I bet they'd be paying a lot more than $50,000.
I'm not sure what the, but the part-time position at the Liquor Commission, which our director's position might not even qualify, is $12 an hour. And that's 29 hours a week. So it seems to me that the person we're looking for, their qualifications certainly do not measure up with what everyone else in the industry would expect for an HR director. From a little bit of experience, it seemed to me that this job posting was written because you already have a person in mind for this job.
No, we don't.
Well, that's just, based on my little bit of experience. And I think personally that with these qualifications, it's an embarrassment to Carroll County, and I as a taxpayer am outraged that we're not looking for the best and the brightest rather than these minimal, at best, qualifications for the HR director. And I would hope that the taxpayers of Carroll County would share my upset with this job posting. Thank you.
I just would say that Janice Sullivan was eligible. She do had all this qualification, but unfortunately she resigned. And I believe the start salary was $50,000, and then later,
58.
I believe after 6 months, it's nearly $60,000.
Mr. Babson?
Yeah, Representative, pardon my ignorance, but
I'm a citizen today, not a representative.
Okay.
Citizen Glenn, can you tell me where you found the on the website the posting?
Our posting?
Yes.
I had to dig down a little bit, but it's you go to.
I've been digging and I can't find it.
Right, departments, human resources.
I went there. Okay.
Job postings.
Job postings. Job postings. Oh, okay. I missed that right there. Thank
And
you.
initially it was listed there. The title of the position was Adobe Acrobat Document for the first 4 or 5 days. But it, I think, has been corrected.
As a result of it being in the Manchester Union Leader, we did get an inquiry from the HR person from Grafton County who is not working for them any longer but has 3 years experience. He's willing to come over here and work for us for 3 days a week as an interim. He's not really interested in a full-time position, but would help us out. So we'll be trying to talk about that today, as to whether we try to get him, for example, to come over for a period of time until we do find a qualified person. But no, the answer is we have no one in mind right now that would fill that position. Okay? Yes?
Related question? I just want to ask a related question to this.
Go ahead.
Can you remind me of the history of having an HR person? Because there wasn't always one.
No.
So when the commissioners decided to have an HR director, was that brought forward in a budget and the delegation
Yes.
hashed it over and decided to create that new
Yes.
position? And that was the salary in the budget that was set
Right.
by the delegation?
We tried to get her a raise. That was Robin Reed.
Okay.
I believe was our first HR person.
Yeah.
She was also very good. We tried to get a raise through the delegation, and I remember the chairman saying, not this year.
But initially,
So if we don't pay anything for this person, and it's a critical position, we have to do with what we can do with what the budget, what the delegation gives us for a budget.
and how was that budget arrived at? Was there research done into what other counties are paying, or how did you come
Right,
up
it was
with the
compared-
original number?
It was comparison to other counties. Other counties have more than one assistant in the HR department. We have one. So, same subject?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering if we can sort of farm this service out, or
Farm it up.
is there a contracting service that does HR work? I mean, we've had the 2 human resources director jobs that we've had ended badly both times, apparently. One was agreements and the other one is leading to an investigation somehow. I'm wondering if there's a way to farm this out to some kind of company that might do this work, so there's a little distance between whatever it is that causes the problem and the HR function.
I wouldn't say no. If you know of any organizations that do that, let us know. I don't know of any. And I'm not sure that's something we want to do. But, you know, be willing to look into it. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Good morning.
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 My name's Ross Myers. I live in East Wakefield.
Yeah.
And I own a web development company that hosts thousands of websites for veteran service organizations, other community organizations, businesses, etc. We're launching a new site on Sunday called Carroll County is Talking. And it's going to be a county network of our villages and our townships. One of the things that we do as civic service, as a way of giving back, is we offer any elected official in Carroll County an opportunity to have a free website that's hosted. We help you develop it. We help show you how to manage it and maintain it. We're nonpartisan. There's no political agenda with this. We just have this dream or vision that hopefully within the next couple of years, a large majority of our elected officials in Carroll County will be managing their own web presence and talking to us directly as their constituents and taxpayers. I wanted to acknowledge Ms. Kenney as the first to take advantage of the service and, you know, let you guys know that it's there.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll take advantage of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ross, what did you say the name of the new website is? Carroll what?
CarrollCountyIsTalking.com.
Carroll County
is talking.
And
it'll be going up on Sunday, so, you know, if you go look, you're not going to see much right now. But it's a great way to follow up. You'll find me there.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Brown, go ahead.
The HR director has quit.
She resigned, yes.
She resigned. My understanding is to the treatment that she received working as HR director in the county, and she's now seeking a settlement. Is that true?
It's under investigation.
It's under investigation. It's all. I've also received a couple of concerns from county employees that the HR Generalist is spreading out non-public information. So I would be concerned if the commissioners were to try to slide her into the HR director. And also, instead of an HR director, why don't we hire an administrator of the county instead of an HR director?
Okay, good point. Good.
Mr. Brown, do you have any evidence at all that our current person is letting out information? If so, either bring it in.
I've had people come to me personally and tell me that. Yes, Commissioner Babson, yes.
I'd like to see something in writing about that.
Well, I'm not going to give you the names of these individuals because of the way business is always conducted in the county, but I have people that personally come to me and told me that as fact. So, as the way business is always conducted in county, I will not give you their names.
I'm not looking for their names, I'm looking for the specifics.
Well, I just gave you the specifics.
What was given out?
Non-public information.
Point of order, if I could. You're speaking publicly about a county employee right now, and perhaps that's out of order.
Just a position. Okay. All right. Time is up for public input. We'll start in with our regular meeting. And Will Dewitt, you're first on the agenda.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, a couple quick things.
For those of you that have not been here before, Will is the farm supervisor, maintenance for the facility. Thank you.
Just have a couple quick things to let the commissioners know what's going on at the farm. Recently we've been processing wood at least a few times a week. We've had a few breakdowns with the processor as usual. Fortunately we've been able to overcome them and fix them. We're still processing. We're bagging wood pretty much on an everyday basis. So been processing the wood to be able to keep a bagging crew busy at all times. The road going out back to the processor led a challenge last week other than the week before. Got with the frost coming out, got real bad. Got to the point where I almost couldn't get out there, but it's dried out. So now we're have taken the bulldozer and we actually graded it a bit. Still needs more work, but we're working on it. It's passable at least now. The small tractor that I've been talking about to you all winter of getting the new radiator put in. We got the radiator, got it put in, and it's running good so far. As a matter of fact, I got that tractor hooked back up to the processor and was using it yesterday. We're working on planting seeds this week for tomatoes and peppers. We got all the stuff in. I think I got to go get the soil yet. Friday's supposed to be a rainy day, so I figured that'd be a good rainy day project. Hopefully, I'm going to be leading a couple of inmates with that project that are going to be with us throughout most of the summer and the growing season. Kind of an educational part to it of teaching them from start to finish on that. So we got that going on. UNH, the new educator, agricultural educator, she has been in contact with me, and we're gonna, I think she's got 5 different varieties of tomatoes that she wants to try, that they're doing a trial here and in another county, and also with some Brussels sprouts. And basically, if we allowed the space, she's gonna do her study and we get all the produce. She's gonna provide the plants and we get all the produce off of it to go to the nursing home. And then she'll do her study on that, and I agreed to try to open up as much room possible to help her with that.
Good.
Plus with the new, seemed to be last year with the new cafe over there, they really have a strong demand for tomatoes with a lot of the specials and the sandwiches that they're making and stuff. People seem to really like the fresh tomatoes. If the weather dries up next week, I'd like to start on some of the spring cleanup. One of the first things, we did some last week, we did some of the sweeping around. It was asked, I think Howie had Bob asked us, because there was something going on this weekend, so we tried to get over there and sweep that up. We want to get into that where the daylilies are. That's on the top priority, to get that out of there. And then just start getting all the sand out of the grasses and getting stuff fixed. Probably in another week or two, assuming everything's dried out, I'll get the sweeper like we usually do, rent that, and I'll do that on a weekend. So that's kind of what's going on with the spring.
The garden area out there, clean it up the best you can. The Rotary Club in Ossipee is going to maintain it the rest of the summer.
This is the daylily area?
The daylily area.
Oh, okay.
But you clean it up originally?
Yeah.
Initially?
Yep. Okay. We'll, there's a lot, I know there's a lot of sand in there. We'll get in with our power broom and try to get out as much of it out as we can. Probably a lot of the mulch will come with it, I imagine, but... Yeah,
order some more mulch.
Yes, it's on the list, to-do list.
That list. Okay.
Inspections of the trucks, we've gotten 3 of the 4 done. We got 1 more to go. We got a few issues to look at that. But all the main trucks are done. We've been putting winter equipment away and getting ready for getting our summer equipment out and doing the maintenance on that. Lawnmowers and the different things that need to be ready for summertime. We repainted one of the plows. Our older plow that we've had 4 seasons on now was just about down to bare metal. So we brought that in and sanded that down, primed it and painted it again to keep it in decent shape. So things like that have been going on with that. I need a plan. I've got on the plan to start looking at what fertilizers we need to start ordering for the hay fields. Hopefully that's only going to be a few weeks to a month away to start getting that stuff as long as things dry up. Put out on the fields. And the last couple of things I just had is today, the Bureau of Weights and Measures is going to be down at the shop this afternoon. And from 2 to 5 they'll be open to do scale calibration on that for everybody in the county or the community that wants to come. Usually we have a pretty good turnout for that. And then just a reminder for any of those that would like to participate on the walking trail committee. We do have another meeting scheduled for Friday at 10 a.m. Supposed to be down in the shop to meet there, and then we were planning to go walking. I don't know how well the weather is going to hold up for that, but the Wendy Scribner and Lisa Delisle have been very big in with this walking committee. Have been very on top of it and getting things planned. Last meeting, unfortunately, we didn't have. It was just the 3 of us basically that showed up. And so we really need some participation from people and try to get this thing rolling, if it's something that we want to have accomplished.
You marked out the trail already, right? Ribboned it or whatever?
Yes, we got a ribbon, and Wendy's got it all GPS'd on a map to see what it looks like. It creates, I want to say, 4 to 5 different loops. You could do the whole loop, which was about, I think it was about a mile maybe, and then within that mile there's 3 or 4 different loops that you can do in different ways. Goes basically all the way down to the back beaver ponds and back. It's nice. I think that if we can get some work on it, get some volunteers out there, and we can get some work on it, that it would be a nice walking trail.
Do you know if the application was put in for AmeriCorps or that group that was going to come and brush out the whole? I'm not aware of it. I have no idea, to be honest. I'm not even sure who was leading that conversation in that. Maureen McDonald.
Okay, and she wasn't there at the last meeting, so hopefully she'll be there. I know Lisa sent out about a week ago, sent out an email to everybody that has been participating that we're having another meeting. So hopefully we'll get some participation this week. So that's pretty much what's been going on the farm. We're definitely getting busy. Of course, at this time this is one of those times of the years where we could always use more inmates, but we've been getting a steady amount. I would just like more because we've got so much to do, but it is what it is, and they've been working hard, and we just have a lot of projects, kind of time of the year where we really get busy.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Babson.
Well, I must have missed it. The last meeting I was at was over at the nursing home, and that must have been January. Did you post the next meeting?
We discussed it at that meeting.
That's why I missed it.
Of the date, and then
there
Lisa.
was nothing sent out. I don't recall getting anything about the meeting.
Right. Lisa said she emailed everybody, but she was having computer problems. I didn't receive an email either of an update. I just knew from the meeting before, and that's why it was like 2 weeks. It was March 26th, I think, is when we had it. But that's why we tried to schedule one fairly quickly, and I know I got an email this time from her. I'm not sure if you received it or not, but I know she sent it out to a bunch of people. Yeah. So hopefully this time we'll get some.
I don't think I did, but
okay.
I'll look. But I'm sorry I missed the last one.
No.
Have you got your soil test done?
This year I haven't. Usually I try to do it to be honest, I try to do it in the fall usually. It seems to be, just time-wise for me, it seems to be better. Plus we get our results better. I was just talking to a person, matter of fact, last night, who just sent his down and saying it's going to take 3 or 4 weeks to get him back, and he knows somebody that sent him down 2 days after him. That's going to be even longer. So I think we definitely need to do some this year, but I think that the ones we have might be current enough that we could get by this year, and then this fall definitely get a newer update.
Wood processor. Are you keeping track of how many days we lose because it's broken down and we can't get parts?
I can. I know it was asked of me to try to keep track of every day and how many times I use it. And I'm trying, to be honest, I'm trying to, but if I'm overloaded with paperwork here, and I'm the one actually running it right now, the new employee, he's been cutting, and I just haven't had time to train him on the processor, so I'm the only other one that's really been run it since we lost our other employee. So I've actually been out running it. So I'm trying to compile that information, and I can try to add a column in to see how many days.
I don't want to give you a whole bunch of extra work. How about just how long it takes to get the parts?
Yep.
Getting the parts seems to be the problem.
Right. Fortunately, this last breakdown, it was something it was a belt that we could get locally. Okay. Just the time to get to where the belt was located was the problem, but we were able to get the part locally.
Maybe that's what you could do. We'll just keep track of the parts that you need and how long it takes to get them.
Okay.
March, belt, 3 days or something. Just something simple, so we
right.
have some idea of how much time we're losing because this thing is running out of breath.
Anything else?
No.
Anything?
Yeah, I had a question about the snow plowing. You're doing the snow plowing the parking lots in the winter?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're doing the sidewalks too?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is doing that? Are you doing it yourself, or are you doing it with the inmates?
Both.
Okay.
Our whole department.
Also, everyone is helping.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have enough people that you do the sidewalks and the parking lots? Do you have enough help to do that?
Generally,
to clear
yeah.
it all out? Oh,
Generally,
okay.
yes. We've fortunately in the last 2 years with the second truck that you guys allowed us to get has really made a big difference.
Okay.
So the equipment we have tends to really, it's good. It's really helped improve things a lot. So that's made a big difference.
You have also like one on a hand blower that you...
Yes, we do have a snow
okay.
blower, yep, that we
Yeah.
use. They do a lot of the shoveling because we try to stay on top of it. We'll only allow a few inches in the main areas. They do a lot of the shoveling, and then when the storm's done on the areas, you know, the extra sidewalks and the exit ways, things of that nature, then they'll use the snow blower because it'll have added up
Yeah.
and try to open everything up and keep everything.
Yeah, you also put like sand or salt,
Yes, ma'am,
Yeah.
yep.
especially the sidewalks. They have also sand and salt.
Yep, they don't have the sand. We have a special type of, it's not a salt, but it's a type of salt basically, that's special that when it tracks in, it doesn't, A, it doesn't eat our sidewalks, it doesn't eat up the concrete, and then B, when it gets tracked in, it's not supposed to make as big of a mess. I know that it still does at times, but it definitely hasn't eroded our sidewalks, which has been good.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Did you show Will the audit that we had from the safety committee?
What?
The audit that we had from the safety committee from our insurance company?
Oh, no, I did not.
Okay.
I didn't know I was supposed to, but.
We had a review from the insurance company. Apparently, we've had more people getting injured as far as slipping on ice or whatever. And this woman came up during the safety committee meeting apparently and walked around and took pictures. And Commissioner Babson will share that with you. I know it's difficult. You can't get every corner and every edge of the road where people walk, but she said that we need to do a little better job in removing the snow and the ice. I know you're doing the best you can, so it could have been just a bad winter. It could have been a bad time where you couldn't get to everything all at once and somebody slipped and fell.
I know the day that she was here was the next day after we had a decent amount of snowfall.
Okay.
And sometimes it takes, you know, to when you got the cars crushing on it, it takes a couple of days to be able to keep scraping layer after layer where the
Right.
cars drive. And I know right this parking lot, as a matter of fact, I know there was some, where the cars park, I know there was some snow ice type thing because it was the very next day.
Yeah.
I heard some other people talking about it. I was unfortunately able to go to that meeting, but I heard that it was brought up, and there's just, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it takes time to let that stuff melt down so we're able to scrape it off. So we don't use, I mean, if we wanted to switch to a pure salt, like the courthouse generally, if you look over there, you'll see that they're pretty much always down because they pretty much use a pure salt over there.
Yeah.
You know, that's an
Yeah.
option if the commissioners wanted to do it, but our costs are going to, you know, be that much higher. We try to mix it pretty good the best we can with the salt and sand.
Mhm.
I guess, you know, another option may be to try to go heavier at times, but we try to do the best we can to balance both of those.
Like you say, she probably showed up the day after the storm, and you do the best you can. That's all I can say. So, anything further for Will? If
No,
not,
no.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Howie? Will, do you have your self-evaluation you were going to leave off?
left it on your desk, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
Actually, there's no better time than right now, even though Will has left the room, to thank him for kind of a unscheduled cleanup for this past weekend. We had the Friends of Mountain View hosted a Just Desserts extravaganza, and I asked Bob, and Bob asked Will if we could get a little dressed up, and Will and his guys did a great job. So,
Mhm.
you know, that first impression ends up being important. So, Will has been nothing but cooperative, you know, but sometimes I'm sure he gets picked on because when it snows, you know, because we're bringing in people around the clock, and he can't staff around the clock, so it gets to be a challenge. But he's always agreeable and always willing to do whatever he can to help.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. Will is a hard worker, and he's doing a good job.
Our guys have started to help out some, because when we're bringing staff in at 11 o'clock, and on some nights we can't be here, our staff is starting to get some of the sidewalks, to be sure that we're able to get our staff out to their cars, and the incoming staff coming in at 11 in. And Bob and his guys have been very equally flexible to do that. I'm glad to report that we are full, and that we also have a skilled census of 11. Now, being full isn't that unusual, but the skilled census is almost 3 times what it was running on average last year, which is generally a very good thing.
Yeah.
And that's scribble on too. Outside groups, it's been amazing. We have started to encourage other groups to come in, and this past Monday the spinning group came in, and it was wonderful to have in.
How many were there?
There were 6 there, I think, and 2 bunnies.
Oh yeah.
And Diane, I think, from Sandwich brought in 2 bunnies, and it was wonderful to see. But they settled right in. They're there from about 10 to 2. They used the cafe, but residents stopped by, staff stopped by, and they're a delightful group. And I'm hoping they're going to make us a regular stop.
Good.
Interesting. Tied to that was actually sent out the invitation through Facebook last week, and I don't have any real reason how to explain this, but there were over 2,500 visits to our Facebook site. Now and to me, that sounds like an extraordinary 2,500
in 1 week.
In 1 week, and that's. I think previously our high had been 1,500, which I thought was high in itself. People are actually paying attention. So, in listening to Ross, I think it was that's here. Interesting. I grabbed him in the hallway. He's also willing to host, if the commissioners approve, the nursing home, Mountain View, having its own webpage. Not that it wouldn't be linked to the county one, but there is a need and value on the part of staff members, family members, outsiders, to be able to get information, and it's the new world. So, and I like the idea if you're agreeable, and he seems to be agreeable to hosting it for nothing.
But you already have a Facebook, you said, and you have a lot of people that coming.
Facebook is doing wonderful. Yeah. I'd love to have a website, because what's common is linking your website to Facebook. So Facebook will say, see the newsletter, and then it'd be a link to the newsletter, or see these pictures to make it easy. Facebook is what people use every day. The website is what they would use the once or twice a week to get information they might need, right down to we would be able to post admission information, admission applications, and other things that people might like to have.
But the county has a website. You cannot post things on just the county website?
We can link it to that. We don't have a very large section of that. And that would be an option of whether or not in a redesigned county website, it would be better, it could be included that way. I don't think the present website would allow us to do all that we'd like to, but I don't know if there are plans afoot to revamp the existing website. Right now, we do keep key information, job postings and the like there, but not much else.
How 2,500 hits in 1 week seems like a huge number to me. That's 300 plus a week. Can you tell from that if it's strictly about the nursing home, or is there anybody else checking anything else about the county?
No, in fact, it can actually track it very specifically. In fact, can actually get information even about the demographics of the source of those visits, not the names, but you can actually find out certain things about the age and location, where they come from. But the simplest way to explain it is the hits to a Facebook site are directly proportional to the postings that you add. And we can see exactly what things bring in postings. Pictures bring in postings. So pictures of just desserts.
All those pictures that you're taking?
Exactly. That brings in 300 people just from Saturday. What amazes me is that I can post something, and 10 minutes later, there have been 50 or 60 people that have looked at things. But it's very graphic. Young people want to see pictures. They don't want to do a lot of reading. They want to see pictures. And so when I post a photo of us thanking a staff member for doing something, or having won something, or won a raffle, she looks at it, her family looks at it, her friends look at it, other people look at it, and our hope is that while they're there, they get a sense and feeling for the place. But it's largely picture-driven. It's not people looking to get information. That's where a separate website would be helpful. And as long as it's free, would sound like a good option. Other things
Sounds
we have going on, and I just found out about this yesterday or the day before, and I think a notice went out, but the delegation subcommittee is meeting Monday at Mountain View for two purposes, to review first quarter's budget, so the chairman tells me, and also apparently that subcommittee has been charged with...
Subcommittee meeting to review the budget?
Exactly, the first quarter's results.
Normally, it's the full delegation that does that, not a subcommittee. Anyway.
Well, no, I didn't bring it
You're in
with
May,
me.
David, that's, perhaps if you went to April, you...
No, I didn't bring it with me. I understood from...
You're correct,
from
Howard.
Chair Algren that it was the subcommittee, because I think the bulk of the meeting is really to talk about the old building. So I think they have been charged
Did you
with...
get notification of that?
Representative Tyser has told me that she's on the subcommittee of the old, what to do with the old nursing home, and they're meeting on Monday.
I think that notice came out yesterday from Kathy Garry.
Oh.
So I think Kathy posted the official notice.
I was going to tell you guys that Monday at 9.
Okay.
At the nursing home.
Yeah, I think it's...
We got a call yesterday from Representative Algren.
Oh, okay.
I think it's 9 or 9:30, but
Yeah.
but it is at 9:30, I believe,
Yeah.
at the...
Is it 9 or 9:30?
I'll double check.
Okay.
Representative Algren called yesterday and said he wanted to do this. Obviously, the first quarter isn't probably totally posted.
And I checked with Paula, this is fairly unprecedented in her
Yeah.
memories. And
I mean, it's only April 15th and it ended March 31st, you know, there's, they maybe want to get a feel for how things are going with the quarter.
Yeah.
I think it might be coincidental with him really wanting to have the meeting for to review the old building. And then while they were here, they would ask about the progress with the budget.
Yeah. So we're not going to have a report for
We'll
them.
give them what we have, you know, the
Yeah.
payroll's posted, the expenditures are posted, so they can see that, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Will mentioned Trails Committee is meeting this Friday. Suggestion box summary has been prepared. Do have news for you on the staff attendance improvement. In February and March, we had 60% of our staff had no unscheduled absences.
Say that again, please, Howard.
60% of our regularly scheduled staff had no unscheduled absences. And this is during difficult times. This is cold, flu, and snow season. And that's actually a considerable improvement over January. So we don't have enough data to be statistically sound, but it's trending very, very favorably, and it reflects very well on the staff. And we've done some fun things to try to incentivize that, to raise awareness, and staff have responded in kind, and that's good to see. And we continue to monitor that and provide incentives for staff to continue that practice, because it's not only disruptive to quality, it's also expensive when overtime and per diem staff are involved. So to the degree that we can minimize, we have virtually, and we have Becky Mason to thank for this, virtually eliminated the use of agency staff, which is extremely expensive. And now we're working, now the next step is to how do we reduce overtime, how do we reduce per diem time, and that starts by largely how do you reduce the number of times that you need to call somebody, how do we reduce unscheduled absences, and we're tracking well with that.
Howard, you have a record of comparing apples to apples, how this 60% figure compares to a year ago, or 2 years ago, or just last month?
None at all. We didn't start any, there was no record keeping before we started in January.
So you are keeping track now?
We are keeping track, and will, so that we'll, my hope is that we'll be able to start doing that, not only month-to-month comparison, but year-to-year. It's part of a management strategy that we have, and part of continuous quality improvement that's based on a very simple premise that you can't really manage what you can't measure. Otherwise, you're guessing, you're hoping, you're trying, and that's all very good, but it's always better to manage by having information and knowledge. And in this case, it's an interesting thing. One of the fundamental parts about quality with some of the people that I've studied is that the mere fact of measuring something tends to bring about the desired results. When people know that you care about something, it tends to, on its own, without having to do anything, become favorable in and of itself, which is wonderful. We have volunteer training that starts today. We have a wonderful volunteer coordinator in Jan Fairchild who will be beginning that training at 2:30 today, and we have some people signed up, starting with a small program of friendly visitation, which is important, but hopefully that's going to become the basis of a broader and more expanded volunteer program as well. I went with training. The state received some federal money for a grant, and I took with me activity assistant Lisa Napadano and restorative aide Vicki Smith, and we went to Concord for training through the Ombudsman's office on cultural change, and no cost to us in the state. And it's a start of pretty much a year-long program, perhaps meeting quarterly with some webinars, as they call it, in between. That'll help move us forward culturally in terms of how do we change things at a nursing home to become less medical and more social. People aren't in a nursing home, except in our therapy. They're not in a nursing home for a few days or even a few weeks. They're in there for months and years. And we want to make that as least institutional as we can. And there's some tremendous resources from the state that we're able to draw on. The one question that I have for you as we move forward with budget planning and operational planning is with the overhead lifts. There had been some discussion of whether or not this would be the year or the time for us to essentially outfit most, if not all, of the rest of the building. We have about 30% of the building covered with lifts. It's predicted that at any given time, we really should be at 75% or more, not knowing exactly where they should be. Whether this would be an opportunity from bond funds to complete the furnishing of the building.
That was a discussion at the subcommittee meeting. What did they come up with for a recommendation?
I don't think they did. I don't think they were opposed to that idea. But I think even though that they might have to approve it, I would have to believe that they would. I have to believe that it might be better for it to come in the form of a recommendation for or against by the commissioners. I would not want to go to them. I guess I see as my role is to come before you, and if it enjoys support with you to be your advocate in that regard. But
you got prices for them, didn't you? It wasn't a case of they're saying that if we could get a good deal, we'd buy all of them, but if not, we'd buy a few.
Well, we can.
Was that discussed?
Well, and I'm not sure the offer still holds, but while our supplier had an inventory of refurbished units that came out of Boston, the price was half. We actually bought 2 of them. They've been wonderful. I mean, they are new for all intents and purposes, and they come with a new warranty and guarantee. Yeah. So they're perfectly fine at half the cost. It would represent a tremendous cost savings, and it would, and it's my understanding, and I think the county did a wonderful job with Mountain View in not throwing money at the construction, but being prudent in deciding what you needed and when you needed it. You bought enough lifts to get started, and you waited to see what the true need would be. Would those be used? Because if those first 25 hadn't been used, it wouldn't have made sense to buy another 75. They clearly have been used during this first year and a half. Mm-hmm. They're wonderful. I'm convinced that it's reducing our workers' comp experience. We have very few injuries and very few back injuries for the number of patients we have, number of residents we have, and the number of staff we have. In other places, back injuries are common. They're wonderfully the exception here, and we want to keep it that way. So I would encourage outfitting most, if not all, of the rest of the rooms.
Why
with
don't you
such a-
update us on what it costs for the refurbished ones and what it costs for the new ones?
I'll get
And
on.
see what the availability is,
I will do that.
bring it back to us next week.
Oh, my recollection is we put the track in, but not the lifts, right?
Which was wonderful foresight, because the cost of putting the track in after the fact is virtually double. And it could well be 3 times, and it wouldn't even be as safe, and it would be disruptive. But we have 100% track, which is wonderful. We just need to add units as we choose to. In fact, what you did is remarkable. Having a facility that has 100% track like that, having access not just from bed to wheelchair, but from bed to bathroom to shower, is tremendous foresight. It's wonderful planning on your parts. But that's all I have by way of particular issues.
Okay. Episodes. Union contracts are going to start appearing here pretty soon. I think in the last union contract, we talked about putting together a committee to look at episodes.
Correct.
To get rid of those if possible, or come up with some other idea that would encourage people to be there on a Friday and a Monday rather than taking those days off to make a 4 or 5 day weekend. I'm not sure who would be on that committee, but union, I'm sure. And maybe
Becky?
Yeah, but you put together a committee to look at episodes or alternatives, and so we don't wait till the last minute to look at that, to see which would work the best, whether we continue with the way we're going or if we come up with something new.
Quite frankly, what we have, now, I can't and shouldn't speak for the union, but it doesn't work out well for the staff. It's not very progressive. I'm sure it was well-intentioned, but this isn't going to be staff giving something up, because in that same contract, and Becky and I have been talking about that, there is a lack of awareness on the part of staff about another very important health-related benefit, and that is that we buy back unused sick time. Right now, our policy essentially encourages people, if you're going to take out 1 day, well, there's no downside for the 2nd or 3rd day, and so it discourages a quick return. I believe, and Becky does as well, that if when we need to have the committee, but that we can create something that would benefit both the county and the staff members, and would result in fewer absences.
All right, let's see if you can't put something together.
We'll get a
pass it
recommendation
by
for
us
you
as a board to see what possibilities there are.
No, I think the earlier we start dealing with contract issues, if we can take the low-hanging fruit and come to solution early on, so that if there
Makes
are
it
issues,
easier
we can make it easier at the end.
Yeah. Okay, anything? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think we did justice to the dessert function that we had Saturday, regardless of Mrs. Spencer's misrepresentation of chocolate sauce
and ice cream.
And ice cream. It was a very, very nice day. There was quite a turnout. The desserts were delicious. I hope that we generated some money, and I hope there was enough interest that you'll do it again. And thank you to the people that took the time to do it, and those that made or purchased. I think they were all made. The silent auction items. The people are to be congratulated, and and you did a really nice job, and I'd like to thank everybody.
Well, and have to tell you that I and actually staff had almost nothing to do with it. The Friends of Mountain View are a wonderfully industrious and independent group. They took care of everything from start to finish. So pretty much all we had to do was stay out of their way, but they did a great job. It was wonderful to see Sandy McKenzie being back part of things. She actually headed up the recruitment of the the bakers and the cooks and everybody else, but there's there was a wonderful selection. I think they made something over $800.
Did they really?
They left the leftovers for staff who also contributed and donated, and that money hasn't even been counted yet. That's sitting in a bag in my office, so there's additional funds there, but it's also some great morale booster for staff for Saturday night and Sunday. But we are lucky, and I could see the Friends of Mountain View doing not only that kind of project again, but even bigger and different projects. And you know, as we get, we've been, I look at Carroll County as being relatively speaking blessed. We have a good budget. We have a new building, but there are going to come times in the future where having an independent fundraising group is going to be very important to being able to maintain the standards, getting the things that we want and need to have, that won't be able to be typically raised by taxation, by tax dollars. So having them get started now during relatively good times is going to be wonderful insurance for the future.
They certainly did a good job. They
did a wonderful job, and they had fun doing it. They were a fun group.
Well, I'm glad I went, even though
there wasn't any ice cream.
But,
next year, maybe we'll get. Actually, you know, an interesting thing would be, why couldn't we make our own ice cream, so that it could be homemade ice cream? That might bring in other people. And it would
going in the right direction. Have cows on the farm, get the milk, make the ice cream.
That's it.
Yeah, it was well done.
It was well done,
really good.
and please thank everybody that was involved at the nursing home. And when we see the members of the committee, that we can thank them personally also.
But I'll pass along word.
Okay. Thank you, Howie. Debbie, you have some guests here with you?
I do. I have with me today Mr. John Reed and Mr. Bob Clement.
Okay. Come on up. Come on up to the front.
Are we ready for them now? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Go to the restroom quick. Right back.
Do you gentlemen have cards with you?
Certainly do. John does.
A little short of hearing here. I can get your names?
Sure. John Reed.
I'm Dave Babson, John.
Nice to meet you, Dave.
Thank you, Bob. Dave Babson.
There you go, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dave Sorensen.
Hi, Dave. Nice to meet you, John. Meet you.
Thank you.
Here's my card.
You.
How you doing?
Hi.
Kathy Garry.
Hi, Kathy.
Nice to meet you.
Well, you don't have to call.
Oh, she's here. Okay. I'm just going to call over to the jail because Pat was coming over at 10 to be part of this.
Okay.
So.
Kathy, why don't you just use that phone? Save yourself a trip downstairs. Okay.
You guys can start.
Okay.
Commissioner Sorensen, Commissioner Babson, if I may, Mr. Fulham and Mr. Reed are here at your request, but I would like to open this by saying that since our last meeting, we have discovered that one of the problems that we were having with getting people on board here was the fact that they were not able to approve their time cards. What we discovered is that there was actually a button on the time clocks that no one had asked to be activated yet that would allow them to do that. That is a requirement of the Department of Labor. In the same way that they sign their paper time cards right now, they have to be able to sign their electronic time cards. So since we last met, that button has been activated. The time clocks have been labeled, and key individuals at each of the facilities have all been trained on how to do those approvals. In addition to that, a short how-to template, cheat sheet, if you will, has been posted to each of the time clocks with the exception of the Sheriff's Office. I've not yet been given access to the time clock in the Sheriff's Office to get that done.
Okay.
So everybody at each of the facilities, I think at this point, with the exception of the County Attorney's Office, has had some training, and we are going ahead with that. We have spoken with Kathy at some length, and Kathy has agreed to run a dummy file alongside the master file for the payroll that will be ending on April 14th and will be issued on April 19th. That dummy file will allow us to look at the files side by side to see if there are any critical errors. If there are not any critical errors that would prevent the programs from running concurrently and appropriately, we intend to go ahead with this program.
I thought the payroll was separate, something separate.
The payroll is a separate issue, but it's the accruals that come into play, and it's been the accruals that Kathy has repeatedly stated a concern with. Mr. Falanga has provided her with the materials that she needs to do the accrual dump.
Yeah.
So, and Kathy had determined that with the new pay rates that went into effect on the first, this first payroll afterward would be the perfect window for running that dummy file.
Okay. I guess the question that we all have is that we negotiated a contract almost 3 years ago now, and we're a little disappointed that we haven't been up and running a lot sooner than we have, and we're not sure where the problem lies, whether it's with us, with Kronos, or the process, or the complicated information that we have here because of so many different classifications, I guess. Is it our problem? Is it, whose problem is it, or what can you add to it?
Good question, right? We never like to see a project go this long, but Bob and I have been with Kronos for quite some time, 15 plus years, both of us. Every customer is different, and different customers present different challenges. There's nothing inherently wrong with the software. There's nothing inherently complex or out of the ordinary of how you want to set up your timekeeping system. But every customer is different. And what we run into sometimes in a situation like this is some of the participants in the testing have regular jobs to do during the day. And sometimes we find it difficult for them to take the time to focus on the amount of testing that's needed. And training, for example.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately you fall into that category. We do see it occasionally, but there's nothing preventing us from going live. I think that Debbie and Kathy and Bob and I are all pretty excited about the fact that we're talking a matter of days, weeks, where you will finally be live on the system. And we don't see any roadblocks that are going to prevent us from getting there. Would you agree to that, Debbie?
I would agree to that. In the last week and a half, I've done some questioning, some of the key people, some of the managers about the approvals, and also about a couple of the pay codes that I can certainly talk with you gentlemen about later, but it's nothing that's going to prohibit this system from working properly.
Okay. Commissioner, did I answer your question adequately?
I guess so. I guess I was wondering whether it's our fault that we did not cooperate well enough to get the system going, that we didn't want to give up certain things, or
I wouldn't say it's a lack of cooperation.
Yeah.
I would prefer to say it's you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink, right? And I think that the day-to-day job routines of people have probably interfered with their ability to focus on this particular project.
How long does it take for somebody to get licensed to go on the system? And what is required to get that license?
Is your question how long does it typically take to go live? Is that what you're saying?
An individual, a new hire, comes on board.
Oh, okay.
How long does it take for them to get on the system? And what requirements do they have to have?
Less than...
What kind of information do we have to have from them as to...
It's a matter of, typically can be a matter of hours, right? If you're like most of our clients, it's a matter of getting the employee information entered into your HR payroll system.
Okay.
And entered into Kronos, right? And it's a matter of creating a personnel record with name, ID number, badge number, the pay policy to which they're assigned, and then download that information to the timekeeping device, the terminal, and then that's it.
Okay.
So it's rather trivial.
Okay. We have one person that's responsible for that?
Yes, sir. At this particular point in time, I'm responsible for putting new hires into the system, and I can tell you that one person being put into the system is a matter of 15 minutes tops.
Okay.
Training them to use the timekeeping terminal is a matter of minutes as well.
Right.
It's essentially using their swipe card to swipe in, and then just understanding what the functions are on the time clock.
Okay. Where do we stand on training? Are we all, everybody been trained, supervisors and so forth? Is it going all the way down to the bottom line? You're shaking your head no, Ann?
That's correct. Yeah, my experience in talking with people just this past week and a half is that in the deeds office, they're missing the icon on their desktop that will allow them to access the program. So right at the moment, they don't have any access to the program. Pam Berland is going to be responsible for doing the upkeep, so to speak, in that office. And I will need to get with her and let her know how to take care of the exceptions. I did talk with the ladies in the deeds office yesterday afternoon about doing their approvals. They're all familiar with how to punch in. Everything's being done, but because they don't have that access to the program right at the moment, they're not able to take care of their exceptions. Also, we have an employee in a managerial position over at the nursing home right now who is not quite comfortable with internet or computers regardless. I will be making arrangements to go and sit with her and try to familiarize her with the program. And if we can't find a way to make her comfortable with the program, we'll have to find somebody to take care of that for her in the alternative.
Okay.
And to answer the question about getting the icon set up, I can set that up while we're here before we leave today.
Okay. I don't know if John Rich, our IT guy, is on.
We won't need him.
Okay. Terrific.
You had some questions.
Yes, I do.
Where'd she go?
Gentlemen, I'm the new member here, but for many years I sat with these folks and listened to your presentation, or listened to meetings, and I was here when they voted to purchase this program from you folks, and I believe that was probably 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it was, almost.
Yep, coming up on 3 years.
And over that period of time, I've heard numerous times that we're running a dummy file, that we're running a parallel system, and here we are back again, going to run another dummy file at the same time. Is this something that's new, or is it time, or vacation, or something that we didn't have before?
Well, we've been gathering collecting punch data for many employees for a few years now. So we do have a few years of archived information for some employees. Some of it was information in the system may have been old and needed to be cleaned out. There was some new information that needed to be entered into the system. And from my understanding, all that has been taken care of. So we have all the employee demographic information in the system, and to my knowledge, everybody is currently punching in and out using the system.
Well, let me ask you this then. In your opinion, why is this taking 3 years?
Again, as John said, we had, training and folks having competing priorities. Everybody has their own day-to-day job responsibilities they need to tend to, and trying to juggle the normal day-to-day job responsibilities along with the additional responsibilities within the Kronos application. Unfortunately, as any computer application that's out there, it takes some time to understand how it operates, and there is some training involved, and trying to focus on getting that training and get some experience under their belts does take some time.
I guess I'll let you continue in a minute. I guess if we had you guys in 2 years ago and told us that we would have put a priority. In fact, I thought we did put a priority on everybody getting trained on the system. We would have pushed for that if that was the case. I'm not sure that we were told that there was a lack of our people taking the time to learn the system, but that's our mistake.
Go ahead.
I wasn't privy to the contract, but each week we sign checks, and it seemed to me that in the last 12 weeks since I've been on board, I've signed several checks for you people for training. What was in your contract for training of our personnel? What was your responsibility?
There was a balance of training points that were purchased, and...
Excuse me, Bob, could you explain that?
Yeah,
Okay.
training points is a new concept. right?
Okay, so every course within Kronos is assigned a points value, and customers purchase a balance of training points to be used to train each individual personnel. There's also a Knowledge Pass subscription-based training tool that we have that folks use to go online and review training information. There's documentation they can download. There's short snippets of video clips that they can watch to help them understand how to use the application. As far as the training is concerned, I know that there were some training points that had expired. We're in the process of working on getting those put back so that we have the training for the next phase, which is our scheduling project.
Yeah, I should point out, can I add to that, Bob? The training points that Bob had alluded to, think of it as it's your budget for the training that you paid for. By contract, they expire within 1 year, right? So your contract was originally signed, I believe it was August 2010. The training points that had not been used expired. Bob was able to get them extended for another year. Now another year has since come and gone, and Bob is in the process right now of getting them extended again. So he's working with our educational services department to get them extended for another year, because we want to make sure, obviously, that everybody's well trained and you have every tool available to make sure that the go-live is successful. The remaining, the remaining training in the budget is for the scheduler portion. There's a phase 2 for the project, and that's for the nursing home, and that's for the nurse scheduling, right? And so we have reserved these training dollars to be applied to that. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yes, except I have a problem believing that the training or the training points or whatever you have hasn't worked very well, because we have a system here that's now 2.5 years old. And I'm not even convinced today that we're using it. I think we are some portion of it. To me, there's been a weakness in this contract that you people have the knowledge, we're paying for the system. Somehow there's been no interaction to make it successful over what I consider running my own business as an exorbitant amount of time for the amount of money paid for the system to get it working. And I think we should all be working together to get it up and running.
Absolutely.
And
we've heard a lot of good things about the Kronos system, but it's just been 3 years is a long time.
It is a long time, and you know, we would much prefer to have been live years ago on this.
So I have a question. So when you installed the Kronos, was there immediately training given?
Yes. Yes, there's a whole series of training given throughout.
It was immediately given. So
Correct.
it's not a part of Kronos then, because they give the training. So it is the part of the county that implemented. Because
right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Other places are also purchasing Kronos. And does it take 3 years that they're running it? I don't think it takes 3 years that they're running it.
Correct. You're correct. Bob even took it upon himself to provide some additional training on site here, above and beyond what was within the contract. he had mentioned something called Knowledge Pass, which is self-study training. He had arranged at no additional cost to the county to have a person in our training department do a special session for Carroll County on how to use Knowledge Pass. And then Bob even followed up and came on site to work with the individuals to make sure that they understood the additional training, right? So to answer your question, I mean, again, every customer is different, and some customers need more assistance than others, but I think the facts show that you know, we've bent over backwards to provide additional training beyond what is normally required.
Because we had Janice Sullivan here, who's familiar with the system, and I think in record time she implemented it, so it could be done. It was not just done in 3 years.
Right.
You have follow-up questions?
No.
No?
What I would ask for moving forward is the commitment from everybody to free up time as needed to
Yes, definitely.
to make it happen, because that's, I think, in summary, is what has gotten in the way, right? And again, recognize people have their day jobs to do, but we'll all be in a better shape once we get live, get everybody focused on it, and we can keep moving forward.
Anne, you got a question?
I just want to say in defense, you know, we have a small department, our hours are fixed 9 to 5, and I think we were left, you know, because basically we were going to be easy to train, and our IT person, John, had come in and said there was no way we could, the software that we had at that time was not going to be conducive to adding this to the system. We since have been upgraded to Windows 7, and we are now compatible. So when I say nobody was trained, I'm just saying I think all of this got slipped by because of events, and I wasn't blaming the county nor the system.
Okay. My understanding was that training points were expired, but you gave it back to the county that,
yes,
that they could use it.
And
that was very kind. Thank you very much for that. And my other question is, what do we need to pay for? Because we need to pay for the training for 1 or 2 persons, what I understand, or is that not correct? That we do have to pay again for something.
Well, the way the contract was structured, it's basically you get billed as services are rendered. Okay, with the exception of the training. The training was paid for, it was all prepaid, right? And Bob is actually in the process of extending that again so it doesn't expire. But aside from the training, for the professional services, the county doesn't get billed unless we have billable time charged against the project, okay? So moving forward, I would anticipate between now and go live, a minimal amount of time expended on our part. Once we get going on the second phase of the project, which is the scheduler portion for the nursing home, then there will be billable activities for that as well.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
That wasn't in the contract initially?
Yes, it was.
It was? Okay.
And there is some budget remaining for that. Bob has been keeping tabs on where we are with the budget. It's not going to be sufficient to complete that phase of the project, but that's another discussion we can have at another time if you'd like. But
okay, yeah, we need to find out what it's going to cost us.
Right.
This training that you're talking about, is that done by phone or is it done by on-site?
Well,
can I just
yep,
clarify for
sure.
1 minute? Are you talking about the Office of the Registry of Deeds and the individual over at the nursing home that I had mentioned earlier? Okay, because those training times, training those individuals will not be billable because I'll be doing that training myself. With regard to the scheduler going forward and what time you spend today.
We're not billing for our time today.
Okay.
Okay. DON. Debbie, do you have any questions regarding the nursing home and Kronos? Don't want to put you on the spot, but I did.
Well, one thing is you have a whole new crew in that did not participate in the beginning of Kronos setup. So I just heard about Knowledge Pass, which would be great to access because then I can read and see where we're having issues. We do have a couple of things that we would like to run by. We're running into that 5-minute time clock thing because our people have to be there 15 minutes early, and it's rounding a little bit, and some pay codes, which I've talked to Debbie about. But I think the difference is that we have now people on board that weren't here previously, and we're all trying to catch up to a system that was trained on 3 years ago. So what we've received for training is either what we've gone in and trained ourselves as we're using the system, or what Debbie's been able to provide, or Janice there for a while. That's all we've had for training. Yes, I can teach people how to go in and put in the time clock and stuff, but when you start doing exceptions and have to put in, you know, different pay codes and we run into issues, that's where we're lacking training right now. So a lot of it's been what we've learned on our own by playing with the system. Because you've got a whole entire new set of staff members for this county that you didn't have 2 years ago.
Well, I'm sorry, you brought up a good point about the Knowledge Pass. That's exactly what it's for, among other things, is we understand that our clients, there's, you know, the transitions, new employees, and that's what that's there for. Bob and I have been more than happy to show you around, if it's convenient for you today, or whenever, right?
So every user...
Today would be a good time while they're here, if you got the time?
Yes,
sure.
I will make time.
More than happy to do that.
And just know that every user of the system in the county has access to the Knowledge Pass.
I'm all good, I've been using that for some time.
Perfect.
Awesome.
One other thing I'd like to bring to light is to reinforce what Becky just said. I've, over the last week and a half, one of the things that I've consistently heard is that people are having difficulty with the exceptions because if they clock in at a particular time, then it automatically adds an additional 15 minutes. What I think is important for everybody to understand is that there is a 14-minute window on the Kronos system. So somebody who typically starts work at 8 o'clock may need to be here at 1:45. If they go to their desks, if they drop their things off and then they go back to the time clock and punch in when they're ready to start working, anytime within that 14-minute window, it's automatically going to convert to an 8-hour day. So if they punch in 7 minutes prior to 8 o'clock, 7 minutes after 8 o'clock, it's still going to give them that 8-hour day. So the exception should not be coming up if they're doing that. But it's a question of getting our employees trained to understand that sometimes because of the window, and it's the same at any business with any time clock system, there's a certain window in which they have to clock in to avoid that.
7 minutes before and 7 minutes after?
Correct.
Is that what you said?
But it's
Any other
setting
problems?
up shifts, because shifts are set up 7 to 3, and people have to be at work at 1:15, so they need to go back in and we need to reset all the shifts, so they read 6:45 to 3 o'clock instead of the, and that's where we're running into some issues. But that's a cleanup issue, which we're doing as we've been filing through the system. But I think the biggest thing is there's a lot of employees here that weren't here 2 years ago, and we're learning as fast as we can this past month to get going as far as we are now.
Yes, and the other thing that was brought to light, and again, this was in talking with Becky at the nursing home, their collective bargaining agreement allows them to take holidays within a
3-month period,
the 90-day window. So for instance, Mother's Day is coming up in May. They can take that holiday now in May or in June, but it's still the Mother's Day holiday. There's no way in Kronos right now, as it's set up right now, to identify that specific holiday as that specific holiday. It just says, I think, nursing home.
It says
holiday
nursing
with
home
holiday.
pay or holiday.
And then they have to go in and note for their own timekeeping or record-keeping purposes, this was the Mother's Day holiday of 2012 or 2013, but whatever it may be. Again, in speaking with Mr. Phalangia last week, we discovered that the input of an additional pay code for those holidays for the nursing home is a very simple fix, and we'll be taking care of that shortly.
So we don't have to change anything in the union contract?
No.
No, what was happening is they will punch in or out. They can take their holiday, within that 3-month span. We have no way to track it. We're manually tracking it now on an Excel spreadsheet. To whether they take it with pay, because according to contract, they can only take so many holidays with pay and everything, and if they don't use it within that 90-day window, they lose the holiday. So you have to track that somehow. Well, in Kronos, Right now, you can put in holiday with pay, holiday pay only or holiday, but you have to type in a note to say which holiday it was. So then when you run an accrual report, you have to count which holiday it is, which is just as easy right now to run it on Excel. If we could run it through a pay code that way, then you can run a report and it'll show you by employee which holiday's been taken, which they now say we can do.
Yes.
Okay. Why is it just appearing now?
It's been asked a couple of times, and I don't know if it got as far as going to these gentlemen or not, but we're, as I say, we're cleaning it up and moving it forward.
Any problems over at the jail, Lieutenant?
No, nothing that hasn't already been discussed.
Okay.
I mean, we're a lot smaller scale than the nursing home, but we've been up and ready to go for some time now.
Okay.
It's just a matter of getting the accruals in there.
Okay.
Any employee resistance?
No.
That's good.
Licenses, we have enough of those?
I think we have sufficient licenses for now. We may need more. As the county continues to grow, we may need to purchase additional licenses, but I think what we have now is sufficient.
And when somebody leaves, what happens to that license?
We actually withdraw that person from that license. That frees up the license, and we can reuse it for the next employee.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm not being totally familiar with the license is basically an individual's identification number?
It's actually not their individual identification number, but their individual access to the system. There are different levels.
Let me rephrase the question then, Deb. Do we have to have a license for each individual?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the type of employee.
Okay.
Anybody else got any questions?
Rob had a question.
Rob, go ahead.
If he could come.
Well, my question, you may have answered this already, but in terms of having that master schedule available, it's important to me to be able to go in and put a cycle schedule in, and then just be able to go and change the hours as need be for what our volume is, holidays, etc., or weekend events. And there is a schedule in there right now that's showing as a master schedule, but I can't go in and change it. And I keep hearing that we don't have access to that schedule module. And can we get that cleared up today so I can go in and put a master schedule in?
Well, you should have access to the schedules now. You should be able to edit the schedules that are in the system. The scheduling module is enhanced scheduling. That's typically used in either a retail or a healthcare environment. But the schedules that are in the system is the basic scheduling package, and you should have access to that. So we can address that.
So that can just be granted by an administrator for the system then?
I'm not sure what access level you were given, but we can certainly check that out.
Okay.
And I can work with Deb.
That'll help me. I mean, I would like to be able to go in every day and say, this is how many man hours I ran, this is what I was budgeted, and keep a running total so that I know at the end of the pay period. I don't want to end up at the end of the pay period and say, oops, I was 60 hours over.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's exactly the reason for the schedule, among other things, right? So that's good that you're eager to do that. That'll help.
Very much so, yeah.
Okay, so everybody had a chance to ask questions? Kathy, you got any?
No.
No?
Because I'm working with Bob on my questions.
So what's the final date when this system is going to be up and running and no problems, everybody's been educated and we've paid for it, now it's going to be in operation? What kind of time period are we talking about? Another 2 weeks? Today?
Me?
Anybody?
We're looking at, Kathy's going to create a dummy file when she runs this next payroll. The payroll ends on the 14th. The reports are run on Wednesday, correct? So it'd be Wednesday the 17th that file is run alongside the master file so that we can look at the accruals and find out if there are any major issues in play. Barring any major issues, we should be we should be good to go. As far as the training is concerned, training with the scheduling piece won't be able to go forward until we have the scheduling piece. But as far as the other issues that have been mentioned today, I wouldn't see more than a week or two.
Yeah, a week or two.
How long is your pay period? Is it bi-weekly or semi-monthly?
It is bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly.
Can I just maybe ask, since I
Go ahead.
have the department heads here, with regards to the employees signing off on their timesheets, because that's key to get the final approval to then interface to the payroll. If there is, let's say, because we have 300 employees, let's say there's 5 out there that have not gotten the final, the employee hasn't done their final approval, or whatever case may be, because there's an exception that hasn't been corrected, or whatever. Will that keep that file from interfacing with me, or will everybody else go but those? Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yes. We can set it up so that we can pass that information over.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that you would want that employee approval.
Absolutely,
So
but you know what I'm saying, yeah.
We'll set it up so that it prevents those employees from being processed. So they
Okay.
they would have to be handled manually.
So, but everybody needs
Everybody
to
else.
understand, they all have to approve their timesheets in order for it to come across to the payroll system.
Correct. So the process would be the employee approval, then the manager will approve, and then payroll or finance will do a sign-off. And the sign-off is what will allow the employee information to be passed over to payroll.
But we can allow that to pass, so like if somebody is on a 2-week vacation during that pay period, that will automatically pull over, and then when they come back, we can have them do a retro approval?
Correct.
But the supervisor, administrator can approve. that
Absolutely.
timesheet. Okay.
Yeah, in the same way that we have the paper timesheets right now,
Yeah.
if an employee is away for vacation or away for a sick day and they can't actually physically sign off on that timesheet, that information is still conveyed to payroll and to the payroll system so that they continue to receive their pay. And then other issues are taken care of as they can be.
Now, is that happening now? Because I know we ran into issues this week that people had vacation days and they went to approve them and it said non-approvable because our accruals aren't in there
Yeah,
yet.
see, Bob and I we're working on the
Yeah,
file.
Kathy and I are working
I'm giving him a
together
file,
to-
and he's gonna load it in too.
Yeah,
And that's my understanding.
The accruals have been the big concern. I actually got a telephone call from someone else in the facility who said, I tried to put in a vacation day for this individual. It's showing that they don't have the appropriate number of hours accrued, but I know that they do. And when I went back and looked, it was obvious that, yes, this individual should have that time available. When I looked at the system, it was just the accruals that were not clicking.
So people now are trying to approve, but some of the stuff that won't let them approve as of this right now.
Correct,
because
if they
the
have a
accruals aren't in
vacation
there,
day or
so-
something like that in
But if
there.
you merge those two, then
Yep,
they
yep.
should be able to go back in and approve?
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess one last question. Lieutenant Batchelor has stated that he really doesn't have a problem over there with his group. What is he doing different than the rest of us that seem to me they've got a union and time and everything in the House of Correction, you got one over here in the nursing home? Why is one functioning smoothly and one not?
He has fewer people and probably on the same schedule.
And, you know, I was one of the original ones that sit down here and I had an 8-hour meeting by video on how to use the system, and I was told then it was gonna go online, because for the last 2.5 years, I've been going into it every day and using it as if it was gonna start up tomorrow, which it hasn't, so.
So really the answer is you're the one that's become far more familiar with it than the.
Correct.
Or appears than the rest of the people have.
Correct.
We keep it
Thank
up.
you.
And the parts that they put in as far as the knowledge pass and whatnot, any questions I have between what I have in that 400-page book and the knowledge pass, which actually shows you how to put information in and do it. With the license I have, I can pretty much do whatever I need to do.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, so the deadline for the system now? 2 weeks?
You comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with that. Are you?
I'm comfortable.
That's-
Comfortable?
Yeah.
Kath?
Comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna do it like next week, and
Yeah.
then, you know, and that will be like, show a lot of where our bugs are. So then the next 2 weeks, you know, so we can see where the issues are.
Right.
Barring any critical errors, which I don't foresee, barring any critical errors, after looking at the files, the master file and the duplicate file that are being run, we should be good to go.
So by the 26th of this month, we should be all set.
For timekeeping.
What's that?
For timekeeping payroll.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. Anybody else got any last questions while they're here?
One last question.
Go ahead.
Where we still have been scheduling employees for the 8 hours and 15 minutes with that 15 minutes unpaid, are we going to continue to do that? Can when I get into the schedule, can I put in 5:45 to 2, have them punch in 7 minutes either side of that 5:45, and have that show as 8 hours paid, because the union agreement is that that 15 minutes is unpaid time?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Our pleasure.
Mr. Wayne, Mr. Reed, if you'd like to get with Aiton, and maybe we can get the icon up on her desk, I still have some things to discuss with the commissioners.
Okay, we can wait outside then.
Okay.
You like us to do
All
that?
right,
Sure.
that would be fine.
And that was the other thing, I'm gonna create.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming.
I think this is
What we can get.
It's
Done.
yeah. We'll much better off for it. So.
David, I did have other issues for public and for non-public, aside from the chronos.
Okay.
I'll see you on the agenda.
Kathy?
See you on the agenda, except for
We'll give you credit too. We got our coffee clerk.
Kath?
Make sure you pay next week.
Did we hear from Clausen?
Hey, Badge.
I'll go check and see, I haven't heard. Now, are you gonna do the work session now?
We're going to hear from Debbie for public and non-public.
Okay. Because there was a couple things. To go
So you guys
over
are making all
guys for me.
it has some public for the public.
Yeah, it's mostly, the conference coming up, the students coming to visit, you know, what conference is going. Workers' comp awards, primary senior conference.
And where was that? In Whitefield?
Point of order.
That is for everyone.
Is this meeting adjourned?
No, it isn't.
Thank you.
People, would you please move out in the hallway?
It's for, that's for everyone, for commissioners.
Yeah. So
Did we ever
just
approve the admission policy? Is that still hanging around?
Still hanging.
Which policy?
You mean the admission still hanging there? Yeah.
But it's probably done, all you have to do is approve it, or? Yes, you were. Or have a meeting.
Yeah, we need to look at it.
I thought we were going to have a public hearing, to talk about that.
Yep.
Yeah, we were.
Yep.
That'll be a good one to do.
Okay, let's get back to order here. Kathy, go ahead.
Okay, just a couple of things. Primex annual conference is May 8th and 9th at Mountain View Grand in Whitefield.
So that's next month already?
Next month, yeah.
Okay.
Attending the conference, there's no fee to attend for any county department head, employee.
How many normally go?
That is 8 and 9, you said, eh?
Well,
It's
sometimes like 7 or 8 people go. Depends when the agenda is sent around. You know, people will say
Depending
this
what the
is
subject
important to me or not or whatever. Because it is up at Wakefield, the accommodations to stay there are $165 a night. So I need to know whether you want to authorize some people to stay.
What's the agenda first? Do you have?
I have one here.
Oh, okay.
I have the agenda, and I can give you
Okay, so
a
the
copy.
primates. Oh yeah, if you have one, that would be good.
Yeah.
Let's see what you're talking about. That is
Was it
today's.
budgeted
It's
for?
8 and 9.
Well,
Have
I'd
a
have to
budget for it?
ask each of the, in their education and conferences, if they have budgeted for this conference or something
Mhm.
else. I can put it out there and say, do you have in your budget to
Yeah,
attend
leave it
this
up to the
conference?
department heads as to whether they approve of their people going.
Because they'll know what trainings they want them to
Yeah.
go to. Like I say, the attendance at the conference, there's no fee to do that.
Yeah.
Or to
You
have
got
lunch.
meals
or-
and overnight,
Yeah.
and there's no place to get meals up there other than the hotel.
Grandmother's Diner.
Down in the valley? I've been there. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So, the students from Kingswood High are coming tomorrow.
Yep.
Now, I had a tentative schedule for them, but I'm gonna have to revamp it a little bit because I had the impression they were coming at 9:30 and now they're coming at 10. So, I need to just verify.
But it's already set up where they're going.
Yeah,
Who's going to
yeah.
talk to
I
them.
just need to move the
Okay.
timing a little bit. We had them arriving at 9:30 here,
There's how many, there's
28 to 30 students.
That's providing they all show up to school.
So
I mean, it could be,
11.
no, I mean, they may be sick and
Yeah,
they might only
yeah.
need 27 days.
so we split them in half.
We generally, we try to split them in half.
So half of them would go to the registry of deeds, the other half to your sheriff's department?
Yes, and then they
And
would.
then they'd switch?
Switch, yeah.
And what time period are we talking about?
Well, I
Half
had
an
it
hour
down.
each?
Yeah, I had them down for 9:30, so now I'll have to make it for 10.
So should we move every one of them ahead?
A half an hour, yeah.
So they visit the Register of Deeds, the Sheriff Dispatch, Shield Farm, Multifield Community.
Yeah, so when they're here in this building, they split in half and they go to the registry and they go to the sheriff's and dispatch, and then they switch.
Okay.
Half an hour in each area, so to speak. Then they'll go over to the jail and the farm, and the same thing, half and half, and they'll switch. And then they end up at the Mountain View Nursing Home Community for 12 o'clock, and they will have lunch and get a little tour there.
Yes.
So Sheriff, you're all set on that schedule? They mainly go to dispatch?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
We just want to work in an office.
Is Mike
They won't fit.
notified?
They all be
Mr.
notified?
Bachelor or somebody at the jail?
Yes, I talked to Mr. Fowler, but now I'll have to let him know that it's pushed a half hour.
Okay.
But he has a training officer that that is assigned to do this, so he
Okay.
was all set with that.
Okay. Okay, so they would be through at 1 o'clock?
I'm
1:30?
assuming how
12:30,
kids
1
are,
o'clock?
Mr. Donnelly said there's no rush to get them back, so if you run a little late, there's no problem.
I think, are you available in the afternoon at 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
Why don't we, when they're at the Mountain View community, why don't we get them into a room and we can talk a little bit about being a county commissioner?
All right.
I mean, the two of us, or three of us.
I did prepare for them a little booklet about summary of Carroll County. I gave you each a copy.
I haven't had a chance to read it.
Yeah, and yours is downstairs.
I don't get any.
It's like-
So
Okay, you
it's
have one?
downstairs, yes, for you. So if you want to review it before you leave today, I put in, a little bit of history about county government, the county officers, the county state reps, and then I gave a little synopsis for each of the departments and programs. So the students, in the past, we've given this to them so they have it while they're touring.
Right. Is there anything in here about the responsibility of the delegation?
No.
Well, list the members, but not
List the
the-
members. It talked briefly about that the county delegation adopts an annual budget. It's brief in here, what
Oh,
they do.
okay.
Yeah, on the second page.
Okay.
The only suggestion, have you printed up a whole bunch of the?
No, that's right, it's in draft.
On page, well, that's one thing you could do, you could put a page number on it.
Okay.
But on whichever page says state representatives at the top,
Yes,
you list District 1, 2, 3, et cetera, down through.
yeah.
On the Carroll County Commissioners, is there a way to put a short explanation that I represent District 2, but I'm elected by at-large, and Asher is District 3, elected by large, and David's
Yeah, we
District
can do
1?
that.
To
Yeah.
give them the idea that we don't represent just one, I don't represent just Ossipee, Asher doesn't represent just Wakefield, and David
Yeah.
doesn't represent just
Would you like me to
Eaton.
take those districts out of there
I think,
completely?
yeah, take those out and
And that way, there's no confusion?
it would be nice,
Underneath Carroll County Commissioners to say, each commissioner must come from a distinct district, but the entire county votes on them.
Mhm.
Just something to that effect.
yeah.
They come from a
Gosh, nobody knows
district,
who-
but entire.
Nobody knows what District 1 represents.
Right, right. But I can do that information. In the past, what I had is like a little map, and I can put it in here of Carroll County, and it has
Yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a more visual.
Yes.
I
Yep.
can put that in here.
Yep.
And that's helpful.
And you might add, going down the list, that the county attorney and the sheriff are also elected countywide, and the registry of
Registry of
deeds.
Deeds. And the treasurer, county attorney, sheriff.
Actually, what I can
Treasurer,
just
that's
say is Carroll County officers and elected officials are countywide, right at the top,
Mhm.
rather than have to put right next to each one, because they all are, all the county.
Yep.
Right, but I think it's important that you note that each one of us has a district.
For you guys, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
anything else you want to change with this?
I don't have But you can let me know by the end of the day,
Oh,
and
okay.
then we can,
Okay.
it doesn't
I
take
will
long.
read through it. Okay. I will read through it.
Okay,
Okay.
what else you
Um,
got?
And also, there'll be 2 teachers and a possible aide will be coming, those 2 commissioners that didn't hear the telephone call.
Yes.
And we'll schedule the other 2 later.
Okay.
We have the
The-
chairman of the Wakefield School Board here. Would they be interested in having their students come up?
I would, not speaking on behalf of the board, but I would feel that, yeah, that would be an interesting outing for the kids.
Normally, we have, how it got started was, it was the local government classes. When they studied local government, that's when we invited them to come here to learn about county government. But if you got a group, what we do is we'll fix a box lunch for them. And a bus load would be great. And try to have it on a Thursday or Friday, if possible. Okay? It's
We have
open
to do
to
it
all
this month
schools.
because it's county government month or something.
It's county government month, but yeah, in the past, it's gone over into May. But
Yeah, because the students
Yeah.
have April vacation week,
Yeah.
testing, all that. We received a letter from the, this we get every year from the Department of Education with regards to the forestry funds and the unincorporated towns, Hales location.
Right.
The amount this year is $764.82. In the past, those funds have been sent to the Conway School District. So would you?
What are these funds for, Kathy?
I'll give you the letter. The forestry.
Taxes for the National Forest in that particular area.
Yeah. Here's a copy of the
Oh,
letter.
okay, as selectmen for those districts, okay.
It has to go to a school.
Yeah, it has to go to a school
And
district.
those particular parcels are in the Conway School District anyway,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Too bad we can't use that $700 for some reason with the Conway School District. Anyway, what's the privilege of the board? You want to give it to the, like we did before in the past, give it to the Conway School District?
To reduce the Hill location fees, or?
I think we tried that. Who else can we give it to? Nobody.
I don't think so. That's where the students would go.
What you reading? Can I see that?
Oh, I gave it to David's got it.
Well, I'll move that we give it to the Conway School District, and if we can negotiate their cost for Hills location kids to go to their school, then we should try to do that. I'm not saying that we'll be successful, we haven't in the past. That's my motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Go ahead and discuss it.
Why can't we just send it to Hale's location and let them apply it to the education costs?
I think it says a school district.
I think it has to go.
It has to go to a school district?
Yeah. Because it's an unincorporated place.
Okay.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and so voted.
Did you need
Okay.
When that,
Thank you, I'll do up a little letter.
And what is the amount again?
$764.82.
700.
80 cents?
82 cents. $764.82.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I voted.
Okay. I had a gentleman come in. As you know, in the past, we've had energy audits and we had that sort of thing.
Yep.
I had a gentleman come in from, it's called Spyglass, and what they do is they will audit our telephone bills.
Yeah.
And they've done it for, I believe they've done it for Coos County, or they're in the middle of doing it, and they're doing it, they've done it for other counties. To do that audit of the phone bills is no cost to us.
Mhm.
And what we have to provide them with is 2 months of billing. And then, as in the past with the energy ones, you sign off on a letter authorizing them to go to our provider.
Mhm.
And they provide them with all sorts of information with regards to the billing
Mhm.
for all our phone lines. What happens is, because I said, well, how do you make any money?
Yeah, what are the,
You know, if you're not going to charge us anything, how do you make any money? So what happens is they will do the audit for nothing. They will come back to us and talk to us, and they will have what they call a cost recovery. So like on our phone bills, there might be a little tax here or tax there that we're not, or fees or whatever that we're paying for that we shouldn't be paying for. So they will get all of that. They will pick all that up. And what will happen is they will go back a year and they will pick that up. And where they make their money is we get 50% of the recovery. They get 50%.
They get 50%.
And then we get 50%. And then going forward, we're not getting those fees, if there are any.
Yeah.
So, because I said, oh, how do you make money on this?
Yep.
And that's how they make their money. Or the other piece is, there's 3 things: the cost recovery, and then there's a service elimination. let's say they look at all our phone bills and all our phone lines, and we have got some deadlines that we're paying for. They'll pick up on those, so they get a
Sounds like a good idea.
So it's really, it's not a difficult thing on our part as far as providing copies of 2 months of bills, and then they do all the work, and then they come back to us. So I thought it was a good thing.
Yep.
And they're the experts in, the various little tariffs and fees that are on phone bills.
Okay. Anybody got any questions, or you want to make a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal.
Is there a second? I'll second it then.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. So voted. Go ahead with it.
Okay.
I've got one other question.
What was the company name again, what you said?
Spyglass. Spyglass, yes. And he's going to come next week, because I said I was going to present it to you, and he's going to come next week if there's any questions. If you think of anything before he comes.
Okay, go ahead.
Kathy, I got a call from Verizon yesterday at home, and the lady informed me that we will be getting a CD for the no charge for the telephone bill instead of printing out a ream of paper every month.
Oh.
So that
We'll have to find out about that, because the department heads review the bills. So they actually look at the bills. So
150 pages, call by call, with 60
that's
calls
what we'll
on a
have
page.
we'll have to see what the CD looks like and find out if
Okay.
we send pieces to the departments to look at.
I asked you girls, and you said, or I asked Kathy Armstrong, she said, yeah, that was a good idea.
Oh, okay. So then,
But,
then we
you
can
know,
send
we take a look at it.
electronically to the departments. But I do know they look at their bills, so
Okay.
we'll need to have
Just
some
wanna let you know,
mechanism.
Not to be surprised when you don't get that.
Okay.
Spyglass, they're going to look, doing an audit on the phone bill. Are they also going to look at the cell phones? We have
Yes, they
numerous
can.
people
Yeah,
have
we can do cell phones.
here.
Yeah, and our if we have a cable bill.
Okay.
Okay, got anything else?
I had 2 requests for use of the delegation room. Here they are.
It's available then?
Yes, Anne's is after hours.
You know anything about this one?
I was invited.
Oh, so it's at 9?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the one with Anne Aiton. I hear a second.
A second?
All those in support
How
of...
about some discussion?
Okay, discussion.
I'll make a motion that we accept both of them.
Okay.
What is it?
Or amend the motion.
Amend the
to make-
motion? All
to
right.
Accept
Go
both
ahead.
of them.
So there is a private meeting?
Do I have a second? I'll second, I guess.
Why do we have a reporter want to have a private meeting in a delegation room? We have here a reporter asking a private meeting in a delegation room.
Does it say reporter, or does it just have a name?
It has the name of the person is a reporter. Well,
Does it matter what the
Can you-
person does for work, whether they can use the room or not?
Say that again?
Is there a policy for how the room is used, or?
Well, it depends on what the private meeting subject would be.
Okay. Is there a policy?
Do we know the subject of the private meeting? And what is it?
as a citizen, not as a reporter, even though that's my job, I'm
Yeah.
not that 24 hours a day. I've been doing research and reaching out to all of the other counties.
Yeah.
And presenting them with a list of questions, ranging from how they handle their IT, whether it's contracted or they have in-house IT, and asking for copies of their contracts. I've been asking questions about their individual farms, if they've had studies done on their farms, and if they have one in operation, why or why not. I've been asking if they have county administrators, and for copies of those job descriptions and salary and benefit package information, copies of their annual reports. So in essence, as we moved through the budget process, which many people watch on the internet and on television, there were some things that came up along the way that we didn't really get into. For example, like how the IT is apportioned across all the budgets. So my question was, well, how does everybody else do it? So that's what kind of started this. One of the people that I spoke with is the IT director for Stratford County. And we talked for quite a while on a variety of different things about how they handle electronic file storage, how their phone systems are set up, because that department manages phones, copiers, printers, wireless storage, everything.
Yeah.
IT related. So he had offered to come up to Carroll County and continue our conversation. So initially, that was my thought, was just to sit and have a conversation with him, and whatever information I could gather that might be helpful to the county that I live in, I would share it with the commission. And then that kind of went on to me thinking, well, it doesn't make sense for me, a non-IT person, to sit in a conversation with this gentleman, and I may not know how specific systems work here, or I might not know the right questions to ask, just as a point of gathering information. So I've also invited other people that both work for the county, or as Commissioner Babson said, I invited him. And the purpose of inviting one commissioner is that I'm not an elected official, I'm not required to have public meetings. If more than one of you get together, you are. So anything Mr. Babson gains from that conversation, just like any other place that you go in the county, you report back to each other, hopefully, on how it went. And we can have it here as a public meeting space. It's my understanding the nursing home has rooms available for public use. That was mentioned a couple times. Or we can have it down in the local restaurant.
I guess my hang-up is that it's private, that if it deals with county business, I think it should be one of the commissioners that heads it up, or the Board of Commissioners. Since it's dealing with all these different things that would affect us, I would think that it would be organized by a commissioner and not by a private citizen. Private citizen could come to the commissioners and ask that, hey, how about doing this? These people are available, that kind of a thing. Go ahead, Mr. Babson.
Can I just quickly to that point, a private citizen has the right to go gather whatever information they want.
That's true.
And provide it. So are all meetings, except for non-public commissioners meetings that are held on the complex, open to the public? For example, you have a spinning class going on. Can I just come? I mean, are all groups that you allow to use space, is there a requirement and a policy that the room has to be available for the public to come in?
Yes, I believe it is.
Could I get a copy of the policy?
No, we don't have a policy, but all meetings here, with the exception of non-public, are open to the public.
Okay, so it's not technically space allowed for people to use, it's only if you're having a public function or meeting. So we need to move this to Sunny Villa or another space in town.
Go ahead, Mr. Babson.
So I have a comment.
Mr. Babson, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Sorensen, but I have to disagree with you 100%. I think if we have citizens that are interested enough to put together a gathering so that we all can become more educated, we all can look for ways to save money, I not only support it, but I'd like to thank the individual for doing it, especially in light of all the IT problems that we've had over the last 4 years, I guess it is now. And I don't see a problem with a group gathering in this public building. It's here and it's empty. Why not use it?
Okay.
Okay, so you want to have a meeting as a private citizen, you said? That means you're not going to write about it.
The letter is from Mellissa Seamans.
Yes,
from
but
Effingham.
I
It doesn't
asked you a
say-
question. When I asked you, when I said reporter, you
Can I
said
use
no.
the room or
You
not?
come here as a private citizen.
Really, I'm not getting into this,
Okay.
and I don't need heckling.
So-
I just need to know if I can use the room, if it's available for me to use.
The question she asked was, would you write about it, yes or no?
It's none of your business, but that was not my intention.
Okay. Ed?
It is.
I think the idea is a very good one, but I think we're kind of mincing words here. I think basically what should happen is, you should decide to form a subcommittee, and then they could be the subcommittee.
We already
That's
have
the
one.
only-
We have, I think Cordelli, I think he asked, he was
Yeah.
coming at a
We have an
subcommittee for
ID
IT, and
subcommittee.
they're going to have questions and whatever, and I think the people are welcome.
Well, the proper
The
format
public
should,
is welcome
the
for,
proper format should be the commissioners form a subcommittee. I don't see a problem with it. I think it's a good idea, but
I think we already have a subcommittee.
Mr. Brown?
And they're going to meet
Except
probably
for the piece that it's a private
private
meeting.
meeting.
When you're using a public building, it's exactly that. It's public, and for any private meeting should never be allowed in a public building.
Okay.
I would ask the
Anybody
commissioners
else?
to put together a policy so people are clear of whether the space is actually open to anyone, as it was stated in previous meetings, or if it's only available to the public. I think that just needs to be made clear what the policy is.
We've offered it to a lot of different organizations, and we approve whether they use it or not. Okay?
I'm still willing
Anything
to
else?
share whatever information if it would be helpful to the county I live in, so.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not meant to circumvent anything the commissioners are doing.
Okay, motion's on the floor. Any further discussion?
I'm just in favor for having Anne Aiton using this
I
room.
think she's had that before.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think she asks for it every year or something, that she had something. I don't know if it is the same group, but I know she had it requested.
All those in support of the motion?
Can you read the motion? What do you have there? What is the motion?
I'll take my motion back, if the seconder takes theirs back. Do you second my motion? My motion was to approve Anne Aiton's.
Yeah, I approve Anne Aiton's. Yeah, that was the motion.
Okay. You take it, would you take your second back?
Yeah,
That's
I
what
would
you,
take it
that's
back.
where you're going, Mr. Commissioner.
That's
Why don't
right.
I take back my amendment and the
That's
second,
easier.
and then
All right.
vote on hers, and then
Okay.
vote
Can I
on
have a
mine.
point of order, Mr. Chairman? What is the other request for, what group is that?
Genealogy,
Okay.
through Registry of Deeds.
Okay, so that one's open to the public, and when is it?
May 9th?
Yes, Mina.
Okay. All those in support of the motion to,
May I see that when she's
Give
done with
Anne
the-
Aiton.
what?
May I see that when she's done with it, please?
This one?
Oh. Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
All those in support of the motion to allow Anne Aiton to have a genealogy group here on May 9th,
Yeah, second.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Then say
And
Can I
aye.
can I have that back, please?
You want this back?
No, well, just whatever the one was for Melissa's request. Yeah, Melissa. I'll make a motion that we allow whatever the group, Mellissa Seamans, to have the group of people interested in the IT program here at the county to be allowed to use this room.
Point of order. Is that gonna be open to the public?
It'd have to be. It'd have to be.
All right.
But the paper said something else. The paper just said for a private meeting.
This is, make it a public meeting.
And what's the date of that?
So she's going to head like a sort of subcommittee about county business and talking with other counties and people.
Actually, can I just withdraw? That's fine. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Babson, for your support of community involvement in the county government.
I'd just like to point out, not to cause a fight here, but you don't suppose the Lakes Region Genealogical Group is a private outfit, do you?
No, I bet it's a public. You're withdrawing this?
She withdrew it, she said.
Melissa, are you withdrawing this?
That's
What
what
do you
she
want to do
said.
with it?
She said she withdrew it.
We'll go somewhere else. Thank you.
Okay. What else you got?
That's it for now.
That's it?
That I can-
Okay. Debbie, you got something
That's
for
it.
public real quick?
Oh, Kathy, do you want this back? Do you need this?
Is that Anne's?
Yes.
I'll just.
And what about,
Oh, yeah.
do you need this? You give me another copy if you have it.
Yeah, I'll make copies.
Okay,
for you.
thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a few things. The last time we met, we had discussed gathering printing costs for the newly adopted employee reference guide.
All right.
So I would like to provide copies of what I've gathered.
You got bids? Is that what you're saying?
Not bids.
No?
Estimates.
Just, yes, correct. Estimates for each of you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I have a. I contacted Pat at the Minuteman Press in Conway and told him essentially what it was that we should be looking at. He provided the printed quote that's attached to the back of your first page. What we're looking at is a set of master copies. Those would be hardbound 3-ring binder type copies that we can provide to each of the departments and each of the individual facilities. So there is a master copy available to all of those offices. In addition, we're looking at 100 to 150 printed soft copies. These would have colored front page and the colored print that you wanted. There were certain pages that you had wanted highlighted with red print. The total overall cost for the folded stapled booklets that would be available to orientations for new incoming employees and also for training purposes for our current employees, plus the cost of, I received a quote for 10 of the binder style master copies. I would actually be looking for 24 of those master copies. Total cost we would be looking at through the Minuteman Press was $612.58. I went to Staples online. We have a contract through Staples Advantage. I did look at the cost for the same essential products through their Staples Advantage online. Again, it would be, excuse me, 100 copies of the soft folded stapled booklets, and then the 10 full color 3-hole punched master copies. The cost for that was $821.04. Kinko's.
Excuse me, Debbie, is that with the 10% discount or without it?
I believe our Staples Advantage includes that 10% discount.
Okay.
I then looked at Kinko's, also a print service available online, since the closest office to us, I believe, is down in Manchester. Kinko's online, I received a quote for the 100 stapled booklets, black and white pages, not the color print pages that you had requested for the highlighted print in red, but with the color cover. 10 master copies, 3-hole punched without a binder. Their total cost was $550.22. Kathy, I had spoken about the project with Kathy. Kathy had mentioned that Moultonboro had recently used a printer that she thought had given them a fair price. In talking with her, I think the volume of the print project that they were doing was far larger than what I'm looking at here. So based on the quotes that I'm looking at, I believe Minimat Press is going to give us a better bang for our buck, so to speak.
What about Ossipee? What about Ossipee printers?
Independent
Yeah,
press.
the ones that do the books.
I'm not familiar with them.
They didn't do that.
No, they didn't do this one, but they do bid on this.
Before.
I'm not familiar with them. If I can get that contact information from
You
you,
got
I
their
will certainly
contact?
give them a call.
Huh?
Is it independent?
Independent color press. And my understanding is they moved someone within the last month or two. Still in Carroll County, but I don't know where.
So the way you did it, you just call around and get some quotes.
Correct.
Okay.
And all of these different items we can add to them?
Well, that was actually going to be my next point of discussion, is the fact that with the Staples and the Kinkos, we don't have the ability to go in and actually change any of the printed materials, with the exception of the 3-ring binder for the master copies.
Yeah.
With Minuteman Press, if we were to go with them, their folded stapled booklets can be changed. If we had addressed once before that county policy is a fluid document, and we can and do make changes to them as legislation comes down and as changes in the needs of the facilities are made. Minuteman Press provides us with the ability to get self-adhesive pages printed in black and white, so that with the folded stapled copies, instead of doing a complete reprint, we can actually just replace that individual page. And for 100 copies of that self-adhesive replacement page, you're looking at a cost of $31.31 for the black and white pages. And if it should happen that we needed to change a page where you had the highlighted print in red that had been requested, that charge for all 100 copies would only be $72.31, rather than having to go through the entire print process.
Okay, I would suggest to move things along and that you contact the independent press and see what they have for a quote.
Independent color press.
Color press, okay. And bring it back to us next week.
Sure.
You got anything else?
I do.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Could I make a
You wanna
suggestion, since Debbie's just down the hall and we have our attorney here, that we move into non-public session and Deb can come back when we're done, because she's only around the corner. Is that all right with you, Deb?
Yep.
I have a question. So you can just add pages, what you are telling?
That's correct.
At a Minuteman? So you can correct it, you said, if there is a correction.
That's
But you
correct.
can just add whole new pages on it.
Yep,
Because we
it's
can
a
add
self-adhesive
and delete.
page, you just put over the original page.
So if we make our new policies are coming in effect, they can just add it.
Yep.
Okay.
New policies coming into effect couldn't be added, that would require a reprint.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to.
I don't think we
Yeah,
want
if,
that.
if you're having a new policy come into
okay.
effect, yes.
Let me ask this question. Is anybody in the general public got some questions that they want to do in public session? Otherwise, we'll go into non-public, and then we'll go out at the end.
Questions from the public are always in public session.
Okay, anybody got any public input, I guess is what I'm asking. Anybody got anything they want to say right now, or do they want to?
Yeah, just to touch on Citizen Cardarelli's comments about the HR advertisement in the paper.
Yep.
I do believe that, we should, instead of hiring an HR director, that the county should look into rather as an administrator, being the fact that as part-time commissioners, it would be much better to have someone on site actually running the business of the county.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I would suggest an administrator rather than an HR director.
Okay, any other public input? If not, then we will make a
Okay.
motion to go into non-public
Non-public.
for
I'll make a
personnel.
motion, we go into non-public session for personnel.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
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 Commissioner Babson?
Aye.
Roll call.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenney? Yes.
Okay, thank you all for coming. We'll be in non-public